Joining me today on the Capitol Show, Ambassador Robert Joseph. He's former Undersecretary of State. You are most welcome, Ambassador.
Maria, thank you very much for having me.
Do you think that the newly restored Saudi Iranian relations would affect Iran's nuclear program?
No, I think Iran is committed to pursuing and completing the acquisition of nuclear weapons. The recent finding by the IAEA that Iran has enriched uranium to 84% is a very important, very significant step in the advancement of that program, because that is borderline weapons grade level. And we know from recent testimony by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, for example, that Iran is only 2 weeks away from having enough fissile material for a nuclear weapon, and perhaps only 2 months away from having a weapon itself.
Do you think that that agreement between Saudi Arabia and Iran, is it against Israel and the relations with Israel? You know, some Arab countries signed the Abraham Accord.
Well, I don't read it as such. I mean, certainly Iran's second enemy is Israel after the United States, and that's not going to be any different after the agreement with Saudi Arabia. I think the agreement really demonstrates the rise of China in geopolitics and as a player in the region.
Do you think that China is filling the vacuum of that the United States left in the Middle East?
Well, I think the perception that the United States has left is somewhat distorted. I think that our influence certainly has gone down, particularly with this administration, particularly with the disastrous pullout from Afghanistan and other moves, including the criticism of Saudi leaders in the election campaign and after that. I think the United States still remains clearly the most powerful military presence in the region.
Should we blame the Biden administration for the improved Saudi-Chinese relations and the improved UAE-Russian relations?
Well, I think certainly there's a lot of blame to go around, and the Biden administration shares in that blame, given the relationship, the damage of the relationship with Saudi Arabia. That was really, it was really a self-inflicted wound, I think.
Would, in your opinion, the new Saudi diplomatic direction compromise the survivability of the petrodollar?
Again, I'm not an economist. I don't see it as that. I know that at various times over the course of the last 30 years, there have been questions about the replacement of the dollar and the rise of the petrodollar. I don't see that as happening. I think the U.S. economy is strong, the dollar is strong, and the dollar will continue to be the prevalent currency.
In your opinion, what needs to be done to attract more countries to sign the Abraham Accords?
Well, I am a big fan, a big advocate of the Abraham Accords. I think that it's changed the geopolitical dynamics, the equation in the Gulf and beyond the Gulf, to include the broader Middle East. I think that the United States has to ensure that the perception of our country is positive as a world leader, as a credible ally and friend to the Arab governments. And I think if we were to do that and do that over time, more Arab countries will join in the Abraham Accords.
Do you think
because at the end of the day, Iran is the threat. It's not only a threat to Israel, it's a threat to Saudi Arabia, it's a threat to the other Gulf states. And they know that better than we do. They've had 3,000 years to learn the lesson.
My question also is, do you think that the Abraham Accord is at risk due to the unrest in Israel?
I don't believe so. And Prime Minister Netanyahu has pulled back from his desire and his efforts to reform the judicial system. So I think I don't think that that's going to have a lasting effect and will truly undermine the Abraham Accords.
How do you see the role of Muhammad bin Zaid, the ruler of UAE, in combating terrorism? And he believes in peace. He was the first country to sign these accords. How do you see this behavior?
Well, I think the UAE has, for many years, as we say, punched above its weight. And it has taken the lead in many different areas, counterterrorism for one, and in other sort of disputes that the region has interest in. I'm very impressed with the leadership of the UAE in the Gulf and well beyond that.
Your Excellency, how do you see the collaboration between the United States and UAE? There is an agreement of investing $100 billion in climate change.
Well, I think investing in climate change is important, but I think that we have to keep our eye on the ball. And I think we've got to ensure the security and the prosperity of the region first and foremost. We have to work on the economic side, and we have to work on the political relationship, and we have to work on the military relationship. And as you know, we have a very close relationship with the UAE in the military area. And that, I think, is very important for the future.
Ambassador, I saw you supporting the Iranian resistance. Do you think that they can overthrow the regime? And do the Iranian regime need to be changed?
Well, I think I came at this from a non-proliferation perspective. And it was a long time ago that I concluded that as long as the religious dictatorship in Tehran exists, we will continue to have the threat of their nuclear program. And we have seen that program grow and grow over the course of more than 20 years now. And I do believe that the Iranian people, you speak of the opposition, the Iranian people will, in their demand for freedom and basic human dignity, will overthrow the government. And I think that it's important to support the opposition forces, and specifically those opposition forces like the NCRI and the MEK, who support a democratic, secular, non-nuclear Iran, one that respects the equality of the sexes. And I think the war on women that has been perpetuated by this regime that we've seen over the course of the last almost 200 days will ultimately be its downfall. It may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next month, but the days of the regime are numbered.
Domestically, how do you see the race for the US presidency 2024?
Well, I'm a spectator like so many other people. It seems as though President Biden is determined to run again, even though I think that makes a number of Democrats very, very nervous, given his obvious problems, personal and political. On the Republican side, it's, Mr. Trump, former President Trump, seems to have at least an early lead. But I see that in the primary polls in a number of the key states, including Iowa and New Hampshire, Mr. DeSantis is actually ahead of him. But it's very early. And one thing I learned a long time ago was things early on in the race never seem to turn out at the end. So we'll see. I'm sure we're all in for a good number of surprises.
Finally, what are the challenges right now inside the United States and what it should be done to resolve some of our problems?
Well, I think, Maria, you're very familiar with the polarization that exists in the United States. A polarization that is more intense than I have ever seen going back many years. And we need to overcome that. We need to bring our people back together. We need to focus on our economy, on our prosperity, on the political dynamics that have deteriorated over the years, and we need to put together a more centrist approach. And I think that hopefully that will result from the election in 2024. President Biden ran on that platform, but then turned immediately to the far left. And I think that only aggravated the polarization. What we need is a leader who can speak for the people and who can, for all of the people, and who can bring into office a platform that will be beneficial to all segments of our society.
We must say that there is we have a common threat, which is the proxies of Iran in the region, and there are a threat into the US, especially by smuggling through Latin America drugs and whatever the cartels. So Hezbollah is involved. The Houthis are a threat to Saudis. Can you say about maybe the Muslim Brotherhood also are a threat inside the US? What you can describe the situation? What you can say about this?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to secure our southern border, which is very porous. I mean, Maria, you've seen the wave of illegal aliens coming into the United States. Many of them, and the numbers are greater than most people think, are associated with not just fentanyl and illicit drugs and human trafficking, but also the terrorism. And as you say, Hezbollah and others are seeing this as an opportunity to infiltrate into the United States. So first and foremost, we need to secure that border. We also need to continue the vigilance of our internal counterterrorism capabilities and prevent another 9/11 from occurring in the future.
After 20 years of launching Operation Free Iraq, what you can say to the Iraqi people, and how do you describe the situation right now?
Well, it has been 20 years this year. The United States invaded Iraq and made, I think, a valiant attempt to improve the life of the Iraqi people. It's a very complicated situation. I don't think we recognized how complicated it was. I don't think we recognized a lot of the divisions within the Iraqi society. I think we made a good number of strategic errors in the occupation and the post-occupation period. But things are getting better as I see them in Iraq today, and I think the United States can be a valuable partner in its future, particularly protecting Iraq from Iran's desire to dominate that country and to dominate the corridor leading, from Iran to Syria. And Iraq is key in that.
Ambassador Robert Joseph, thank you so much, former Undersecretary of State. You are most welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Maria.
Hey, Maria Malouf here. Please click to like and subscribe to Maria Malouf TV YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.